What up, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Hope everybody's having a good weekend, and let's get ready for the Knicks game, Game 1 tonight. In today's show, though, we're talking about a Cooper Kupp trade idea because Bleacher Report put out an article talking about some hypothetical superstar trades that they think could happen and would shake up the National Football League, and they said Cooper Kupp to the New York Giants could be a possibility. That's what they said in full. They said, while the Rams have been reluctant to embrace a full-blown rebuild in wake of their disappointing 2022 campaign, they've been parting ways with key pieces of their title run this offseason. They dealt cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins and have yet to re-sign linebacker Leonard Floyd. They also cut Bobby Wagner. With little cash to spare, few reinforcements arriving from the open market, and no first-round pick this year, it will be tough for the Rams to field a competitive squad in 2023. Since the cracks in this foundation are now showing, it should be time for them to tear it all down and start over. And I don't think Bleacher Report is totally off base with what they're saying. I think the Rams are actually in a really weird spot. They're in the middle of a rebuild and a retool, and that's kind of where you don't want to be in the National Football League. Because I don't think anyone thinks the Los Angeles Rams are going to compete for a Lombardi trophy, but we all think they're going to be a little bit better than last year. But like they said, they didn't sign anyone in free agency. They had to trade Jalen Ramsey. Bobby Wagner got cut for minimum cap savings, and now they're not able to bring back Leonard Floyd. And without a first-round pick, could they look to sell maybe their best asset at this point, which is Cooper Kupp? And I don't really think it is all that likely, to be honest with you. I mean, I think just the connection between Kupp and Matt Stafford is too strong. And if you're going to trade Kupp, you might as well trade Matt Stafford and tear it all the way down instead of doing a half-assed job of it. And I think if you were going to trade Matt Stafford, that already would have happened. But if Cooper Kupp does become available, Joe Schoen absolutely needs to make the call out to Los Angeles and see what it would cost to land Kupp. Because although he is 30, he'll be 30 when the season starts, and he had an ankles injury that required surgery and ended his season last year in LA, he is still one of the best receivers in the National Football League, and I think he fits this scheme absolutely perfect. He'd be the Giants' #1 wide receiver, and he would solve all of their problems. So in the rest of the show, we got a trade idea coming up from Bleacher Report. And I'll give you my take. I don't know what word I was trying to say there. My take here on this Cooper Kupp trade idea. Let me know, though. Do you think the Giants should at least be interested in Cooper Kupp? I know a lot of people are going to say, what about the money? What about the cap? You can always figure that out. Look at the New Orleans Saints. Should they be interested? Why for yes and for no? It comes down to the price, right? What is it going to cost to trade for Cooper Kupp? A guy that, had almost 2,000, maybe even had 2,000 receiving yards a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that. We'll go through a trade idea from Bleacher Report. We're also going to take a look at some other trades that involved wide receivers coming down later in the show. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to a new sponsor on today's show, and that is ZBiotics. And I got to be honest with you guys. Sometimes after those crazy live shows and y'all are hitting me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back well the next day. That is until I found ZBiotics. ZBiotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic and is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol, then drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next day. Give ZBiotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports to get 15% off your first order when you use code chatsports at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. The link is right there, and it's also clickable in the comments and description of today's show. And remember, use code chatsports for 15% off. When you look at the receiver that Cooper Kupp is and has been the last 4 seasons in LA, I think you could make a case he's been the most dominant receiver over these last 4 years. I mean, just in 9 games played last year, before missing the rest of the year with an ankle injury, the guy still had 75 catches for 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's a lot of receivers' best seasons of their career. But look at 2021 and look at 2020 and 2019. 3 straight seasons of over 92 catches, then 145 in 2021. Could have been the MVP that year. 16 touchdowns to go with 1,900 yards. He's an absolute beast, and he would step in and be the best receiver on this roster, no doubt about it. I mean, I think he could be considered the best wide receiver in the National Football League. I think he would fit really well in a Mike Kafka offense as well as a Brian Dable offense. He can line up all over the field. He's a generator with the ball in his hands. And he's also someone that wins one-on-one matchups better than just about anybody. And I think it's fair to say the Giants know that they need another wide receiver. Despite the guys that they added this offseason, they have to go out and get another guy. Why do you think the Giants are bringing in so many, top 30 visits that involve top wide receiver prospects in this draft? Why have they gone to every top wide receiver's pro day? Why is there so much chatter about them picking a wide receiver at pick 25? It's because Joe Schoen knows they need another elite receiver, and Cooper Kupp is the definition of an elite receiver. What's it going to cost, though? Let's go through some trades that involved wide receivers within the past year. One of the biggest ones involved our arch rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. They received A.J. Brown. They gave up a first-round pick number 19, and then gave up a third-round pick in that same draft. Kind of a recurring theme you see here. That trade, compared to the Davante Adams trade, involved a first and a second-round pick. Adams, I think, is the same type of player as Kupp. Kupp's coming off an injury, same age. I think this would be a little bit too much, though, for Cooper Kupp, in my opinion. I also think what Miami gave up for Tyreek Hill would be too much for me. Is there a team out there that would do it? No doubt about it. But for me specifically, I don't want to give up a first-round and a second-round pick for Cooper Kupp. I definitely don't want to give up a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a 6. But Cooper Kupp's legit. And Bleacher Report actually put out a trade idea in their article, and this is what it was. It was the Giants' first-round pick number 25. Also, pick number 89, their third-round selection this year, and a third-round selection next year. So Davante Adams went for a first-round pick and a second-round pick, whereas Cooper Kupp's going for a first and 2/3, and he's coming off an ankle injury. I got some thoughts about this, but I want to hear from you. Would you accept this trade? If you got a call from Joe Schoen and said, you know what? I know you watch Giants Now by Chat Sports. You know ball. Should we make this trade? Type A for accept. Type D for decline. Sound off for me in the comment section. For me, it's just a bit too much. And I'm really splitting hairs at this point. When you talk about what the Giants need to do is they need to find a way to keep some of those draft picks. And I think giving up 3 premium draft picks, 3 picks that are going to be in the top 100 over this year and next year is just a bit too much. Would I give up a first and a third? Probably. Would I give up a first and a second? Probably not. You could convince me a first, a fourth, and maybe a fifth, but I don't want to go more than that. And they have to build through the draft, and that's for so many reasons. Saquon Barkley wants money. Dexter Lawrence wants money. Andrew Thomas wants money. Xavier McKinney is going to want money. And before you know it, Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau are going to want money. And that is why you have to build through the draft. You have to have these cost-controlled players. And when you look, the Giants do have 10 picks overall, in the 2023 draft. But if you give up pick 25 and you give up pick 89, that means you only have 1 pick inside the top 100, and you're giving up your third-round pick next year. And you need to hit on some of these draft picks. And, of course, you could do that in round 4, 5, 6, and 7, but it's a lot tougher. And I think it'd be easier if Joe Schoen had 3 top 100 picks this year and maybe 3 next year. Look, I'd love to have Cooper Kupp. How realistic is it? Probably not. Fun to talk about. Bleacher Report talked about it, so we talked about it on today's show. First and a third, probably. First and a fourth, I'd do it, but you know what? We'll see if it actually happens. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and if you made it this far in the video, that means you're a real one, and you should tune into our Knicks coverage tonight. We're going to be live on our Knicks YouTube channel for Game 1. Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, the Knicks, the Cavs. We'll go live at about 5 p.m. Eastern time. You can go to youtube.com/KnicksTV. Just type in Knicks Now by Chat Sports in your search bar, and I'll have a link as well. That's clickable in the comments and description. Let's go Knicks. Knicks in 6. If you're not a Knicks fan, sorry. Let's go Giants.